of the accounting, business, and economics. She's also the chair of that department.
Correct.
And she's going to talk about corporate social responsibility and how service and business and research all intersect to have advocacy for individuals and have an impact. So welcome, Dr. Aversano.
Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me. I was enjoying your charts because I happen to be a data junkie. So, you know, data is very powerful when used properly. So let me tell you a little bit about us in the business department and why there is a real nexus between social responsibility and values and what you're doing and what the business world is doing, because there really is a powerful connection. And so if we view the business community as the enemy, which oftentimes happens, or the business community views the NGO community as the enemy, we have polarization. Don't we have enough of that around here? So I think it would be to everyone's interest, let's find companies that are value-driven. Are they? Are there any that are? And the answer is yes. And the other interesting phenomenon that's occurring is as a result of the millennials. You guys. And the reason is the millennials are very much service-driven. Service matters. Quality of what you do every day and the contributions you make matter. And that's a very important aspect that as an employer, I need to be aware of. I need to know that you as an employer care deeply about the society in which you live, and I have to find ways, because I want my business to be successful, but I also want my employees to be happy at what they do and engaged in what they do. So I'm going to talk to you about a company that I think has it pretty well together. How many of you have heard of Patagonia? Okay, so you're going to help me give this lecture then, because you probably know more than I do, although I happen to be a big fan of this company. I don't have any of their clothing. I don't think I can afford it, but you know, I'm only a professor. How much do you know? So, but I do believe that Patagonia is one of those wonderful examples of you can do good, and by the way, you can do well. That's the win-win that we all seek to engage in. So hopefully I'm going to get this very short video. It's very short, and it talks about really the changing paradigm and the business model that they set up. It's about 7 minutes, and it's an NPR interview, so hopefully I can get this and you can all enjoy it. If not, we'll just go on from there. We're so used to our technology never working that it's just, we just learn to deal with it, you know. Did you? Oh, you got it down there. Okay.
So look at a seemingly counterintuitive.
Tell me if you can hear it.
So look at a seemingly counterintuitive business model. Economics correspondent Paul Solomon goes inside an American clothing company that has been growing rapidly while marketing itself as an anti-growth business. It's part of our weekly series, Making Sense, which airs every Thursday on the NewsHour.
Are you guys sitting down? Because this is pretty horrifying. Okay, dog bite, shark attack.
Seamstress Kathy Avery couldn't care less.
When I get something like this, I do my best to make it kind of special. You know, it doesn't look new, but so what? Okay, I don't look new anymore. It's okay.
Avery stitches for Patagonia, the outdoor clothing company, high-end enough to have earned the nickname Patagucci. Downstairs, the company's Reno, Nevada warehouse and distribution center sends its garments hither and yon to be worn by rock and mountain climbers, skiers and snowboarders, surfers, trail runners, or folks who just want to dress as if they do all that stuff. And each day, some of those clothes make their way back to Reno, to what's billed as the largest clothing rehab facility in North America.
They mess them up and we fix them up.
Behind me are 55 people extending the life of our product for our customers.
Doug Friedman is Patagonia's Chief Operating Officer.
We want our customers to invest in great product, and when it's worn out, we want to repair it for them.
It doesn't sound economical for the company.
I can understand why you'd say that, but the way we view it is that we want to reduce consumption.
That's what makes Patagonia so odd. a supposedly anti-consumption corporation. Since its founding in 1973, it's always had a so-called ironclad guarantee, including free repairs. But recently, the company ramped up its promotion of that pledge with a cross-country worn-wear bus tour, biodiesel fueled, of course, tailors reviving garments at stops along the way. And though it spends little on advertising, Patagonia donates more than twice as much to environmental causes.
We give away 1% of sales each year to grassroots environmental organizations around the world.
The company is always on message, as in a famous full-page New York Times ad, "Don't buy this jacket."
It seems oxymoronic.
It certainly does. In fact, sales are booming, up 25 to 30% a year since that ad ran. But we wanted to know, is this just a sales gimmick? So we went to the new Patagonia store in New York City's Soho district, which boasts its own repair center, and in keeping with the reduce, reuse, recycle ethos, features wood beams salvaged from the former Domino sugar factory, and marble counters reclaimed from the renovation of the Museum of Modern Art. Turns out customers like yoga instructor Kim Larkin buy into "Don't buy this jacket."
It's intriguing, because nobody's saying that. Everyone wants you to buy their stuff.
But are you less or more likely to buy something once you've been told not to buy it?
I think I'm more likely to buy it. Because it feels like it's against consumerism in some way.
So what's going on? Well, according to Patagonia, if you buy stuff that lasts and gets revived so it will last even longer, well, in the long run, less stuff will get made and consumed.
We hope our existing customers do indeed buy less, but we hope to attract more customers that are interested in our message to build the best product, to reduce our impact and cause the least amount of environmental harm.
The way you could really reduce the company's footprint is by not selling any product at all.
Sure, but if we can show, the business community we're successful, we think we're holding ourselves as a great example for how business can be done differently.
So you're trying to knock off all the competitors out there who are making throwaway products, essentially.
That's right.
So that's the message. And it's certainly working. 30-year-old Rich Daniels is an aspiring men's fashion designer who would like to emulate Patagonia's less is more philosophy.
I think this Patagonia campaign is definitely a part of a bigger movement, fewer, better things. I'm not interested in disposable fashion.
In fact, he was shopping for a Patagonia jacket to replace one his parents had bought him when he was 15. But you would feel it all as if you're being kind of suckered. Don't buy this jacket, idiot. Please buy the jacket.
Sure, their goal is to sell clothes, no matter what it takes. But I know that I'm going to have something that's going to last me a very long time.
Could the company be accused of conning the customer? District Manager Betsy Pantazelos. And in the end, there's more consumerism, not less.
I think not only can that be said, I think people have said that, but at the end of the day, this is really truly who we are, and we're trying to invent a different approach to economics and to consumerism, and that we recognize we just need to start having a conversation.
Okay, let's grant the company the benefit of the doubt. But how, in short-term, Wall Street-driven corporate America, have they gotten away with a long-term strategy? Founder Yvon Chouinard, whom we were unable to interview because he was fly fishing, told an environmental forum recently that because Patagonia is privately held, he's free to reject traditional corporate values.
The problem with a lot of public companies is that they're forced to grow, 15% a year. They're forced to show profits every quarter. There's not one public company that will voluntarily restrict their growth for the sake of saving the planet.
In fact, Chouinard has taken legal steps to try to prevent Patagonia from ever going public. But what's so curious to observers is that Patagonia, by voluntarily restricting growth, has fueled more growth.
So I am faced with this growth thing. We could be $1 billion company in very few years, and it's not something I ever wanted or even want.
So don't buy this jacket? Yeah. Do you really need it?
The worn-wear truck York's latest stop, a music festival at the Museum of Contemporary Art in North Adams, Massachusetts.
Taking care of business. Yes, we are.
Renowned rock climber Timmy O'Neill is another Patagonia marketing ploy. Not a pitchman, but a brand ambassador.
It's not, hi, I'm Timmy O'Neill, buy this jacket. It's, hi, I'm Timmy O'Neill, get outside and experience wilderness.
And he seems to mean it, as does clothing rehab artist Kathy Avery.
I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? When I first started here, I was excited. I thought, oh, Patagonia, man, they got good stuff. I bet they got a good employee discount. But after I went on the Warm Wear tour, I've changed my way of thinking. I'm only going to buy what I need.
This is economics correspondent Paul Solman reporting for the PBS NewsHour from Reno, Nevada, where old clothes go to live another day.
So isn't that an interesting video? To me it is, anyway. And hopefully it is to you as well. We find a lot of companies, interestingly enough, are remaining private, and we find companies are not eager to go public because not unlike what you mentioned earlier, where in your case the government would be involved, you have shareholders involved, and that they are demanding growth. So more and more companies are trying to stay private. And the other interesting phenomenon that's occurring is, how many people in the United States work for a small company, 500 employees or less? Give me a number. What percentage? Small company. What percent? Just a guess. How many? 40? 72%. So 72% of people who work in the United States, employed, are working for small companies, 500 or less employees. Now you might say, well, that's a big company. Well, that's not really a big company. So 500 or less, but then there's a lot of really small companies. So think about the impact and the footprint that these companies can have if they take the position that I'm going to do something that's good for the society in which I live, right? And can I make money doing it? I have to pay my employees, so I need to make money. But can I make money and still do good in the society? And I talk about this as a changing paradigm because it represents a way to challenge conventional wisdom and present a new style of responsible business, and that's from the CEO and founder of the, well, former CEO and now and founder of the company. It is a new way of doing business. Some of you probably have studied Whole Foods. Anybody study Whole Foods in any of your, okay? Whole Foods has taken a totally new approach, and for those of you that may at some point in our graduate program, hopefully in our MBA program, we do a lot of work on sustainability, and we do a lot of work on social entrepreneurship. In fact, we're just instituting a not-for-profit concentration in the MBA program. And one of the areas that you'll study in the casework is companies like Whole Foods, which wants to deliver clean food to local communities, communities where you're serving. And you're going to start to see more and more Whole Foods opening up in inner cities, because the mission of John Mackey, who is the CEO, believes very strongly that capitalism must have a conscience, must have a conscience. And bring your products into communities that everyone can benefit. People in the inner city shouldn't have clean food? No, they shouldn't have clean food. And there's a whole host of things. So this new paradigm that is really developing, and it's exciting to be in the business world where we're starting to see this real focus and energy on doing good and doing well. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about that. I don't know how much you can see this, but Patagonia's philosophy, and very quickly, obviously they're striving to build the best products that are friendly to the environment. And their goal is that they keep the damage to the society, to the environment down. So they're using organic cottons, they're using less damaging dyes and fabrics. Yes, they're going to have an impact and a footprint, but they're trying to make that a minimalist approach to the environment. And that's a powerful contribution. And they're also becoming really an icon to so many other companies that are saying, wait a minute, what are these guys doing? And can we do that? It's very focused on very simple, functional, and multi-product to encourage customers to consume less. We talked about that. The customer someone who is an avid outdoors person, really. They call their clients, they call their customers dirtbags. Isn't that fun? So if you happen to have a Patagonia piece of clothing, you are a dirtbag. So, I don't have one, so we can't call me that. All the competitors obviously are looking at them and saying, how are they doing this? What's the magic? And they obviously work with collaboration is a big, big part of their management approach. My field of study is management and organizational behavior. I have my doctorate from Case Western, from the Weatherhead School. That is one of the big areas. Sustainability is one of the big areas we focus on in Case and the work I did. And corporate social responsibility is really, really, really one of the areas that they are passionate about. Why? Because they love the outdoors and they don't want to see it destroyed. I mean, think of the synergy there. It's a simple message, but it's a powerful message. So they pledge to make products that are high quality, multifunctional, repairable. Gee, when was the last time you brought something to some place and had it repaired? Typically, we just throw it out. And they're really encouraging us not to do that. Old garments, obviously, for repair. They want to sell, they want to exchange, and they want to donate. And that's a big part of how they want to approach them. Oops, here we go. So, environmental decisions were not at odds with optimal financial performance. If you have that as an objective, if you say it's not mutually exclusive, this is not uncommon now, more and more in businesses where they're saying, wait a minute, we have to look at the environment and we also have to make money. How do we do that? How do we do that? And that's where you bring in some innovative thinking. And that's where I think the millennials play a powerful role, really powerful, and are making a great contribution from that point of view. So the target of increasing, this is interesting, the target of increasing 10% annual growth. So this is not a company that wants to sit on the sidelines. You're going to see they pay their employees extremely well. So if somebody in this room said, I want to do good, but I'd also like to make a little money, nothing wrong with that. Companies like Patagonia might be a place where you want to consider working. So they are saying, we want to grow 10%. Now in the retail business, that's a big growth number. They also requires evaluation of the sacrifices it would take. Are they going to in some way compromise their values? They go through this discussion, they think about these things. The scope of the projects that they're innovating to get to that 10% growth, the costs, the resources, the time. For those of you here that are focusing on your careers in service, you have to understand the financial elements of whatever it is you choose to do. That's why I was kind of enjoying your presentation. Money is going to be a necessary driver in whatever you do, but you want to do it with a value set. That's really the powerful aspect here. Can you do it with a value set? I believe you can. And I had the benefit of seeing many, many companies in my teaching and in my own personal career that have done that. So, they want to establish 10% sales growth. They want to lead corporate America by example. This little company that's now becoming this kind of interesting phenomenon. And everyone is now turning to them and saying, how do these guys do it? What are they doing? So they want to increase this is really interesting. So they lead by example. They are also give 1% of their revenues, 1% of their revenues, or 10% of their pre-tax profits, whichever's higher, to hundreds of grassroots organizations that are working to save the planet. Pretty powerful. So some of you that have this as a mission, you may want to consider Patagonia as a place to start, to look and see. They also give grants, $25 million up to date through this year, for grants and in-kind grants, in cash as well as in-kind grants, for, again, environmental causes. Sister Carol and I were talking very briefly, and we're on a panel together in a couple of weeks. Yeah. And we're going to be looking at the discussion of, is the environment part of social justice? Well, I really think it is. I'm passionate about that. I spent 25 years in the technology industry before I became an academic, and And in the technology industry, we use a lot of chemicals. So when you hold up that cell phone, it is filled with toxic chemicals that, if not properly disposed of, create deadly consequences. Deadly consequences. And so corporations really do have a responsibility to the environment and to make sure that when those products are disposed of, and you think about it, you get your little notice from Verizon or AT&T, oh, your phone is ready, get rid of that phone, get a new one. Well, when we keep throwing those phones someplace, we are at risk of really creating toxicity in the environment that is enormously damaging for many years to come. So in my industry, that became a really big issue, and something that, I mean, I had the benefit of working for a great company, AT&T, and they were and are extremely responsible as it relates to those things. So very, very important that we focus on this in the corporate world. And if we look at the founder, he said, and this is, I really like this because it reminds me of Immanuel Kant, and he talks about forget about the goal and instead focus on the individual movement involved in shooting an arrow. If the elements are perfected one, can't help but to hit the center of the target. In other words, the means do matter. The means do count. How you do things do matter. And that's a very powerful and distinct notion because we live in a society where it's too focused on the ends rather than the means. And not that I'm trying to impose my philosophies on people, but I do feel very strongly about this. Maybe it's my Vincentian background, sister, I don't know. In terms of stakeholders, this is something I want to talk about. They have a triple goal with regard to the stakeholders: social, economic, and ecological. And they also are committed to something called continuous innovation. See, that's the key. If we accept the norm and we don't continue to innovate, and that's where you all come in, a new way of looking at things, a new way of addressing issues, you play a role. Don't step away from it. Don't be afraid to be involved in it. And then better quality and reduced effect on the earth. We have a responsibility to leave this place hopefully better than we found it, I hope. Now let's talk about the internal stakeholders. Now you notice on the first chart, which are external, they don't talk about shareholders because they don't have shareholders, privately held. But there are other companies that do have shareholders that really do focus on these kinds of things as well. But here are some of their internal stakes. Anybody that's thinking about a job in service. They operate out of energy efficient buildings. Positive. They have something as simple as an organic cafeteria. Good. They have something called paid sabbaticals. This is not normal in business. Having spent 25 years in the corporate world, nobody ever offered me a sabbatical. So, subsidies for purchase of hybrid vehicles. This is fun. They will pay your bail if you are involved in nonviolent activism. I mean, I don't know any place that does that. There's, of course, maternity and paternity leave, and full health care, individuals and families. And this is a very interesting one. They will pay 2 months' salary benefits on a leave of absence if you work in an environmental organization. This is a pretty, I mean, this is putting your money where your mouth is, right? This isn't just, oh, the environment, buy our jackets, no, this is really saying to the employees, we want you to be part of this mission, and we're going to give you mechanisms to allow you to be part of it. I'm not sure about the bail and nonviolent activism, but that, I mean, I guess that's kind of a good thing. I don't know. Now let's look at the numbers, and I'm not going to drown you in numbers, I promise. But remember they said they had a goal of 10% growth. That is a pretty audacious growth goal, I can tell you, having run businesses. So 11, they were kind of negative sales. Then they got better, Now at the end of 2015, I don't have the 16 numbers, but at the end of 2015, 4% growth. In the retail industry, that's a pretty darn good number. And they're still trending. And it looks like their numbers in 16 are going to be yet again higher. So, business must be a force for change, environmental changes are to be overcome. And I think this is kind of my message today. I didn't take a lot of time because I wanted to open it up for discussion. So let's talk. What do you guys, what's your reaction? Good, bad? This a bunch of hokum? What do you think? Yeah.
So I have a question. Do you think that this like don't buy this jacket, is this just trendy now with this generation, and is it sustainable? Once people buy these jackets and hold on to them and repair them, then what? Or are they counting on like you're gonna lust for another jacket? Like, they're counting on the fact that you might repair it or donate it, but you're gonna want something new all the time.
I think they both. I really think you saw the woman who was in the NPR video there, and she's a yoga instructor, right? And they said to her, well, what do you think? Is this making you more likely to buy it? And she said, yeah, kind of is, right? So you could say it's a ploy. You could say it's a ploy. I would say that if they didn't have this extensive repair organization within the company. I would say that if they just kind of, like Lyft, the Uber competitor, Lyft just did something where they said, okay, we're going to announce this charitable donation. Anybody read about this? So if your fare is $8.75, and you give us $9, we're going to give that extra 25 cents, and they identify certain charities. Now, Lyft does nothing for their employees. Nothing. They have no health care program, they have no benefits program, nothing. To me, that's a ploy. It's not sincere. But to me, Patagonia, where they have this repair organization, they have this on-the-road extensive group, I think there's a balance there. I think it is. Now, we'll see, right? We'll see. But it has proven to be enormously successful. The other thing they did was because they felt that the current administration was taking a very negative position towards Planned Parenthood, immigration, and essentially causes that are critical to many people in the United States. On Black Friday, all of their proceeds, a lot of their business they do online, all of their proceeds on Black Friday this year were donated to Planned Parenthood and immigration organizations. Now that's not a ploy. That's like taking a lot of money. Black Friday is a lot of money, and in their stores and in their online sales. So I think they're putting their money where their mouth is. I think. Well, time will tell. Yes.
And their organization, consumers, are they giving back their old Patagonia stuff, or like any old jackets and giving them to them? What's happening?
Well, the way I understand their repair organization is you take the woman who's showing her, I guess they were jeans, that she was going to repair, and then they were Patagonia products that she was then going to send back to the people who sent it to her. Now, I suspect if someone said, look, I'd like this repaired and donated, they would probably take that as the next step as well. Yeah.
Could you explain a little bit how market research, especially you mentioned the millennials and sort of this drive to be more conscious consumers, how that research plays into the structure of Patagonia and what they decided would be most beneficial?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question, and I'm a big believer in research of every kind before you make a decision. And having been in them, I've been in a lot of parts of business, but marketing was one of the areas I was in at AT&T. You do look at your market dynamics, you look at the data, and you look at what are the trends. Patagonia is an organization that really focuses on outdoors. And when you look at I was looking at some of the data when I was doing research for the presentation. They have their average age of their consumer is 38. The average income of their consumer is $160,000 a year. High-end consumer. They essentially go deep in the consumers are typically engaged in outdoor activities. So it could be skiing, it could be hiking, it could be mountain climbing, it could be any number of outdoor activities. So they target their consumer very, very carefully. They know who they're going after. Okay? Now, having said that, That's a consumer society. If I'm earning $160,000, I have a lot of discretionary money, don't I? I would think, unless I'm spending it on housing in New York, in which case now I'm poor. So, but if I am making that and I'm living wherever in a reasonably priced community, then I have a lot of discretionary money. So here they're saying to me, don't spend that money, the discretionary money, on things that are consumer driven, keep reusing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Gets at it? For those of you that are doing research, and I encourage you to do that, and even in terms of your organizations, if you have a passion about a particular NGO that you want to form, find out what corporations are similarly supporting your goals. I know when I was with AT&T, we had a very large foundation that gave, and the single biggest mission of the foundation was giving money to preschool activities in inner cities. That foundation still exists, and they still have the same purpose. So for any of you that have a great passion for that particular area or are thinking of doing something in that area, go to companies like AT&T, do your research. I also worked for IBM for a number of years, and they too have a major focus on education in their foundations. And as you all know, most big corporations have foundations, and they do seek to give grants, and they are very eager to do that, so take advantage of it. And you see in Patagonia's case. Yes?
Is there a way to find out what corporations focus on, the types of grants? Is there like the foundations running in the city would have that?
Well, if you're asking is there a particular website that has it, I don't know of any. I think I would simply just go to the company and look at it. So for example, if Fortune, you look at Fortune publishes a list of companies that are green companies and companies that are on that list. So I'd start with that. I'd start with a list that are green companies, and I'd say, okay, Netflix is on it, Google is on it, believe it or not, Nike's on it. And Nike went through a bad time. I think they've converted. They've made a conversion. Just to recall, Nike was using children, right, to manufacture. And when they were first confronted with it, they said, not us. It took a lot of activism to get them to step up. So if they have converted, praise the Lord. So that's a good thing. So I would go to things like that, and there are actually green lists, not only at Fortune Bank, but companies that are in funds, financial funds that are all green, essentially. And they're not doing badly. They're very competitive with those companies that are not in those funds. You know what I mean by funds, right? Okay. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's a good place to do some research. Any other comments, thoughts?
I might continue with my talk. When's this end?
Oh,
I'll end whatever you tell me to end.
She has 9 more minutes, so.
But I can. But if sister, if you want to jump up,
For me, you raise a lot of questions. I'm glad. No, I'm glad you used Patagonia. So one of the points I want to make is just because of making connections, I thought it was very interesting that they're very clear about their triple bottom line. And I don't know if our students or ourselves, when we saw the social, economic, and ecological, the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals are 2030, the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. That's very clear, that you can't separate the social from the economic and the environment. You just can't. So I thought that was very clear.
Right.
All right. My other point is really very more complex. So just to tell you a story, I was at they called it Vigil in White Plains. We didn't call it a demonstration. And we were vigiling to stop the AIM pipeline near Indian Point and also connecting it with the Dakota pipeline. So this was months and months and months ago. And one of the key groups that helped not only organize it and probably pay for the Peace Poets, if you're not familiar with Peace Poets, we had Nikki Hogan, one of the IPSL students had them come last year, all right? So they probably helped pay because they are expensive. But we had this great vigil, and the two people that I met were from Sane Energy Project. And if I really remember correctly, you can check it as an alternative fact, or it could be a fact checker for me. But they're really paid for by Patagonia, because I think on the other end of the card they had Patagonia. So.
Yeah, and they do give grants for multiple.
Yes, I know, and that's what you said. So what I just wanted, the point I wanted to make there, which I thought was really fascinating, was this Same Energy Project, which must be getting money from Patagonia, because they were talking about Patagonia, is a great group that's probably not just New York City. Of the hundreds of emails I get, theirs is one of the emails I'll read, because they, since we're talking about research advocacy, they put together all the events that are happening in our New York area. So, you might be getting 10 emails from different places that put it together. But I believe they are also the ones that sent us the map that shows where the pipeline leaks are in the United States. So they'll also send the information. And so they are doing very good work. But the question you raised for me that's too heavy to discuss is, when you mentioned the average salary of their person, okay, the consumer. I couldn't help but think politically. And also since, so this is a question that I'm having, because the Sisters of Charity are having it. When we talk about our sponsored institutions, where many of the board members that serve on it are of a party, political party, that probably voted for this current administration, it's very hard to understand how they could be on the board of organizations that are serving people and caring for people, but also having some of the political persuasions. So I'm just wondering here, how do they educate the consumer? How do they educate maybe their board members? I don't know who their board members are. That when we talk about advocacy research and advocacy, what do we really see? How do we bring the individual person and the needs and the struggles to what we're giving voice to in our mission statement? It's a real challenge. So you couldn't help but raise, because we have been told that we cannot talk, if we're going to change what's happening in our country, we can't talk among ourselves. We have to talk with the people from the different political party. We have to be in conversation with them and find common ground. So I did just raise the big question.
Yeah. Well, I think it is an interesting phenomenon.
I need research on that.
Yeah, it's worthy. It's very. But I think the fact is that this is a company that has a mission and a purpose, but they also are realistic, and that's the other part of the business hat I wear, right? That you have to be realistic about where are you going to go. If you have a product, by the way, Patagonia's products on average are 20% more than another similar product, okay? So if you want to get that 20% more, where do you go to get it? And that's when they did their homework, they did their research, right? But I think the fact that they tie it into this reuse mission, that's a valuable asset. Most of their consumers are college educated. You're talking about an elite part, intellectually elite perhaps. I don't know, elite's probably the wrong word, but you're talking about financially aware, financially capable people. I always struggle with this because I'm a big believer in the fact that companies have a responsibility. And having spent many years in the corporate world, I know a lot of executives that may have voted for a current administration, but I can tell you their hearts are very much in a place that they want to give back. They are service-driven. I don't know that they're mutually exclusive. Maybe they are. It's hard to know that. I can't know what's in somebody's heart.
Remind me to say something about that in my presentation.
Okay. Yeah. And the other part of it is we're not, as much as people that don't, people that are innocent people, good people, hardworking people, they don't have the means to support institutions like this where we go for donations and so on. It's a reality. That's why I encourage us not to take a strident position against business. I like to create the bridge between the two. And there are many worthy companies. I wish I could spend more time with you and go through them. I am passionate about this. Happy to come and talk again. So thank you all. I enjoyed the